The Texas sun beat down on Cole Harrison's weathered face as he tied his horse's reins to the hitching post outside Henderson's general store. At 52, Cole had spent half his life working cattle ranches, and the lines around his eyes told the story of countless days under the scorching sun. Cole pushed through the screen door. "Afternoon, Pete," he called to the store owner. "Got my usual supplies ready?" "Sure do, Cole. Feed, salt licks, and that horse liniment." Pete Henderson looked up from his invoices. "Say, you might want to check outside before you head back. There's been a young boy sitting on your horse for the better part of an hour." Cole frowned. "Boy's got nerve. Buttercup doesn't take kindly to strangers." "Son, that's what I thought, but she seems calm as can be with him. Strangest thing. Boy looks maybe 10 years old, clean but wearing hand-me-downs. Been watching folks like he's waiting for something." Cole gathered his supplies. "Well, I reckon I'd better see what this is about." Outside, Cole saw a small figure perched confidently in Buttercup's saddle, one hand on the horn while the other gently stroked the mare's neck. The child had sandy brown hair and the brightest blue eyes Cole had ever seen, holding maturity far beyond his young face. "Hey there, son," Cole called out. "That's my horse you're sitting on." The boy looked down with those startling blue eyes, showing no fear, only hopeful determination. "I know, sir. I've been waiting for you to come back." "Waiting for me? And why would you be doing that?" The boy straightened like a soldier preparing to deliver an important message. "My name is Danny Walsh, sir, and I have a proposition for you." Cole couldn't help but smile at the formal tone. "A proposition? How about you climb down so we can talk properly?" Danny shook his head firmly. "With respect, sir, I think better up here. And what I have to say is important enough that you'll want to give it proper consideration." Cole leaned against the hitching post, crossing his arms. "All right then, Danny Walsh. Let's hear this proposition." Danny took a deep breath. "I need someone to adopt me for just one day, sir. Just 24 hours. And I think you might be the right person for the job." Cole's eyebrows shot up. "Adopt you? Son, that's not how adoption works. And why would you want someone to adopt you for just one day?" "Because tomorrow is Father's Day," Danny said simply, his confident demeanor cracking slightly. "And I've never had a father to celebrate with, not one that I can remember anyway." The words hit Cole harder than expected. "Where are your parents, Danny?" "My mama died 2 years ago. She was sick for a long time. I've been staying with my aunt since then, but she's not much interested in holidays, says it's a waste of time and money." Cole felt something twist in his chest. "I'm sorry about your mama, son." Danny gathered his strength. "Thank you, sir. But I'm not looking for pity. I'm looking for a business arrangement. See, I've been watching you come to town for supplies. You always keep to yourself, and you always look like you're carrying something heavy that nobody else can see." The observation was astute. "Is that so?" "Yes, sir. And I figure a man who looks that lonely might understand why a boy would want just one day to know what it feels like to have a father, even if it's just pretend." Cole processed the boy's straightforward honesty. "What exactly would this involve?" Danny's face lit up. "Maybe you could teach me about ranching. I've never been on a real ranch, but I've read about them. And maybe we could have a meal together like fathers and sons do. And if it wouldn't be too much trouble, maybe you could tell me what it's like to belong somewhere." The request was so heartfelt that Cole felt his throat tighten. "Danny, I should mention that I don't know the first thing about being a father. I've never had children, and I live alone with nothing but cattle and horses." "That's okay, sir," Danny said eagerly. "I don't know the first thing about being a son either. We could figure it out together." Cole found himself fighting back a smile. "Where's this aunt of yours? Doesn't she need to know where you are?" "She knows I come to town sometimes," Danny said carefully. "She won't miss me until tomorrow evening." Something in Danny's tone made Cole suspect the boy's living situation wasn't ideal. "Well," Cole said, surprising himself, "I suppose I could use some help around the ranch tomorrow. The work's not easy. You sure you're up for it?" Danny's face absolutely glowed. "Yes, sir. I'm stronger than I look, and I'm a quick learner. I promise I won't be any trouble." Cole chuckled. "Something tells me you're going to be plenty of trouble, son. But maybe that's not such a bad thing." He looked up at the boy. "You can ride her back to the ranch, but we go at my pace. I would never do anything to hurt her," Danny said earnestly, patting Buttercup's neck. "She's the most beautiful horse I've ever seen." "That she is," Cole agreed, loading his supplies. "All right then, Danny Walsh. Let's go see what kind of temporary father I make." As they rode out of Cedar Falls together, Cole couldn't help but notice how naturally Danny sat in the saddle. The empty saddle that had been beside him for so many years was finally filled, even if it was just for one day. But as they headed toward the ranch, Cole found himself hoping that maybe one day might turn into something more. If you're enjoying Danny and Cole's story, hit that like button and let us know which city you're watching from. Subscribe for more heartwarming stories. Welcome to the ranch. The ride to Cole's ranch took nearly an hour through dusty back roads lined with mesquite trees. Danny rode beside Cole with natural ease, though Cole suspected the boy had little actual horse experience. "Tell me about your ranch, Mr. Harrison," Danny said as they crested a hill, revealing the sprawling property below. Cole pointed toward buildings in the distance, a modest ranch house, large red barn, and several outbuildings. "Been there 15 years now. Bought it after saving up working other people's cattle. Always dreamed of having my own place." Danny's eyes were wide. "It's huge. How many cattle?" "About 200 head of Angus," Cole replied, pleased by the boy's excitement. "Not the biggest operation in Texas, but it's mine." As they rode toward the main gate, Danny peppered Cole with questions. How early did he get up? What did the cattle eat? Cole found himself enjoying the boy's curiosity. "My daddy worked cattle briefly before he took off," Danny said suddenly, his voice subdued. "Mama told me he was good with horses, but not so good with staying in one place." Cole glanced over. Some men have wandering in their blood. Doesn't make it right, but sometimes that's how they're built. "Do you think it's something you can inherit?" Danny asked. "The wandering, I mean. Sometimes I worry I have it too, and that's why I don't fit anywhere." Cole brought his horse to a stop inside the ranch gate. "Son, from what I've seen, you don't have wandering in you. You have searching. That's different. Wandering means you don't want to stay anywhere. Searching means you're looking for the right place to belong." Danny considered this carefully, then nodded. "I like that better. Searching sounds more purposeful." They continued toward the house, passing a pasture where Black Angus cattle grazed. Danny was fascinated by everything. The water troughs, fence posts, how the cattle moved together. "They're like a family, aren't they?" Danny observed. "That's exactly what they are," Cole confirmed. "Cattle are herd animals. They need each other to feel safe. A lone cow is usually an unhappy cow. People are probably like that too," Danny said thoughtfully. Cole felt that familiar tightness in his chest. "Yes, son, I reckon they are." The ranch house was simple but well-maintained, single-story, with a wraparound porch and white shutters. "It's perfect," Danny breathed as they dismounted. "It looks exactly like what a ranch house should look like." Cole smiled at the enthusiasm. "Come on, let's get these horses taken care of." The barn was Cole's pride, spacious and well-organized with 6 stalls, tack room and hayloft. Danny was immediately drawn to the other horses, a paint gelding named Cisco and an older bay mare called Rosie. "They're beautiful," Danny whispered, reaching out to stroke Cisco's neck. "Cisco's gentle as a lamb, and Rosie's been with me longer than any of them." Cole began unsaddling Buttercup. "Rule number 1 on any ranch: animals come first. They depend on us." Danny watched intently as Cole demonstrated horse care, brushing, checking hooves, ensuring fresh water and feed. The boy was a natural learner, asking intelligent questions. "My mama always said that how you treat animals tells you everything about a person's character," Danny said as he carefully brushed Buttercup. "Your mama sounds like she was a wise woman." "She was," Danny said simply. "She worked 2 jobs to take care of me when she was healthy enough. Always made sure I had food and clean clothes, even when money was tight." After the horses were settled, Cole showed Danny around the property. They walked through the equipment barn, checked on cattle, visited the chicken coop. Danny laughed with delight as hens pecked at grain he scattered. "I never knew there was so much to running a ranch," Danny said, as they walked back toward the house at sunset. "It's like being responsible for a whole world." "That's a good way to put it," Cole agreed. "Every decision affects something or someone else. The cattle, horses, the land itself. It's a big responsibility, but it gives your life meaning." They paused on the front porch, looking out over the ranch as the Texas sky painted itself orange and pink. "Is it lonely?" Danny asked. "Living out here by yourself?" Cole considered honestly. "Sometimes, especially in the evenings, when the work's done and the house is quiet. But I've got the animals, the land, the stars. There are worse kinds of loneliness than being alone. Like being lonely when you're surrounded by people who don't really see you," Danny said, with surprising wisdom. "Exactly like that." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun sink lower. Finally, Cole clapped Danny's shoulder. "Come on, son. Let's get some supper started." The kitchen was the heart of Cole's house, large and practical, with a sturdy wooden table and windows overlooking the back pasture. Cole set about making ranch food, thick steaks, baked potatoes, green beans from his garden. Danny insisted on helping, proving surprisingly capable. He set the table with care and even found wildflowers for a centerpiece. "Mama taught me that every meal should be special," he explained. "She said sitting down to eat together was one of the most important things people could do." As they sat down, Cole realized it had been years since he'd shared a meal with another person in his home. The food tasted better somehow. "Mr. Harrison," Danny said as they finished their steaks, "can I ask you something personal?" "Shoot." "Why did you say yes today? Most adults would have thought I was crazy." Cole set down his fork, thinking how to answer honestly. "You know, Danny, I've been asking myself the same question. I think maybe I needed someone to adopt me for a day too. It's been a long time since I felt like I had family, even temporary family." Danny's face lit up with understanding. "So we're both searching for the same thing." "I reckon we are, son." As evening wore on, they cleaned up together, and Cole showed Danny to the guest room. Simple, with a single bed, dresser, and windows toward the barn. "I've never had my own room before," Danny said quietly. "At Aunt Linda's, I sleep on the couch." Cole felt another piece of the puzzle fall into place. "Well, tonight it's yours." As Cole was about to say goodnight, Danny called out, "Mr. Harrison, thank you. It's already been the best day I can remember." Cole smiled, feeling something warm unfurl in his chest. "The day's not over yet, son. Get some rest, and tomorrow we'll see what kind of ranch hand you make." Father's Day. Lessons. Cole woke before dawn to roosters crowing and distant cattle lowing. For a moment he lay listening to familiar ranch sounds, then remembered he wasn't alone this morning. Somewhere down the hall, a 10-year-old boy was sleeping, trusting Cole to give him the kind of Father's Day he'd never had. He dressed in work clothes and headed to the kitchen, planning to start coffee before waking Danny. But when he arrived, he found Danny already there, fully dressed and looking toward the barn with eager anticipation. The boy had made an effort, hair combed, clothes clean, shirt tucked in. "Morning, Mr. Harrison," Danny said with a bright smile. "I heard the roosters and figured that meant time to get up." Cole chuckled, impressed by the boy's instincts. "You figured right. On a ranch, we rise with the sun and work with daylight." As Cole started coffee and made breakfast, eggs from his chickens, bacon, biscuits from scratch, Danny asked about the day's agenda. "First thing we do every morning is check on the animals," Cole explained as they ate. "Horses, cattle, chickens, make sure everyone made it through the night safe. Then we see what needs doing. Could be mending fence, moving cattle, fixing equipment." Danny listened intently. "How do you decide what's most important?" "Experience, mostly. But the general rule is anything affecting the animal's health and safety comes first." After breakfast, they began morning chores. Danny proved eager and capable, following instructions carefully and showing no fear of large animals. When they checked cattle, Danny noticed one cow limping slightly. "Mr. Harrison," he said, pointing, "that one seems to be favoring her left front leg." Cole spotted the problem immediately. "Good eye, son. Let's take a closer look." They separated the cow from the herd, and Cole showed Danny how to examine the hoof. They found a small stone wedged between the cow's toes, which Cole removed. Will she be okay? Danny asked, watching the cow walk away without limping. She'll be fine, but if we hadn't caught that today, it could have become a real problem. Cole looked at Danny with genuine respect. You've got good instincts, Danny. Most people wouldn't have noticed that. Danny beamed at the praise, standing taller as they continued their rounds. They spent the morning working together, and Cole was struck by how naturally Danny took to ranch life. The boy had intuitive understanding of animals, willingness to work hard, and careful attention to detail. Around midday, they took a break under a large oak tree. Cole had packed lunch, and they sat eating sandwiches while cattle grazed nearby. "Can I ask you something?" Danny said, more serious than he'd been all morning. "Of course. What made you want to be a rancher?" "It's hard work, and you're alone most of the time." Cole watched a red-tailed hawk circling overhead. "This kind of life makes sense to me. You work hard, treat your animals right, take care of the land, and it takes care of you back. There's something honest about it, no pretending to be something you're not. And you don't miss having people around. Family." Cole was quiet for a long moment. "I used to have family. Was married once, long time ago. We wanted children, but it never happened. Then she got sick, cancer, and I lost her about 8 years ago." Danny's expression grew serious. "I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison. That must have been terrible." "It was. Hardest thing I've ever been through. For a while I didn't think I'd make it, but the ranch needed me. The animals couldn't take care of themselves, so I kept going, one day at a time." "Do you think she would have liked me?" Danny asked suddenly. The question caught Cole off guard. He looked at this earnest, brave boy and felt his throat tighten. "Danny," he said slowly, "I think she would have loved you. She always said children were the best part of life, that they kept you honest and reminded you what really mattered." Danny smiled wistfully. "I wish I could have met her. I wish you could have too, son." They finished lunch in comfortable silence, then saddled up to ride around the property. Danny proved just as natural on horseback as Cole had suspected. As they rode through various pastures, Cole shared stories he hadn't told anyone in years, about building his herd, weather challenges, watching calves grow into healthy cattle. Danny listened to every word. "You know," Cole said as they watched calves playing in a field, "ranching is really about family. These cattle depend on each other and on me. We're all connected. When you understand that, you understand what this life is about." "Is that what you meant yesterday about people having searching instead of wandering?" Danny asked. Cole looked at the boy with admiration. "That's exactly what I meant. You were searching for something, and maybe this is what you were looking for." "Maybe it is," Danny said quietly. As afternoon wore on, they moved cattle to fresh pasture. Danny proved natural at reading animal behavior. Cole found himself thinking the boy had genuine talent for this work. "Danny," he said as they closed the gate, "have you thought about what you want to do when you grow up?" Danny shrugged. "Not really. I figured I'd just take whatever work I could find. People like me don't usually get to choose." "People like you? Kids with no family, no money, no connections. We just have to be grateful for whatever comes along." Cole felt something fierce and protective surge in his chest. "Son, let me tell you something. You've got more natural ability with animals and land than most people I've worked with in 30 years. You're smart, observant, hardworking, and you've got good instincts. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you have to settle." Danny stared at him with those bright blue eyes, struggling to believe what he was hearing. "You really think I could do this? Be a rancher? I think you could do anything you set your mind to," Cole said firmly. "But if ranching calls to you, then yes, I think you could be excellent at it." As the sun began setting, they headed back for dinner. Cole prepared steaks while Danny made salad and baked potatoes. "Mr. Harrison," Danny said as they set the table, "I have something for you." He pulled out a carefully wrapped package. "I wanted to give you something for Father's Day. Since you're being my dad for the day." Cole unwrapped it to find a smooth stone painted with "World's Best Dad for a Day" in Danny's neat handwriting. Cole stared at the simple gift, emotions welling up. "Danny, this is the best Father's Day gift anyone's ever given me." "Really?" Danny asked, face lighting up. "Really?" Cole assured him, voice rougher than intended. "I'll treasure it." As they sat down to their Father's Day dinner, Cole thought about how much his life had changed in 24 hours. Yesterday, he'd been a lonely man going through motions. Today, he felt like he had purpose again. "Danny," he said as they finished eating, "I need to ask you something important." The boy looked up expectantly. "Your aunt, how does she treat you? And I want the truth." Danny's expression grew guarded. "She's not mean. She just doesn't really want me there. I'm just someone she has to take care of because there's nobody else." Cole felt his jaw clench. "Do you feel safe there?" "Most of the time," Danny said carefully. "But she's always talking about how much I cost her, how she never wanted to be responsible for a kid. Sometimes she makes me feel like I'm just a burden nobody wanted." Cole was quiet for a long moment, feeling increasingly certain about a decision forming in his mind all day. "Danny," he said finally, "what would you say if I told you that one day didn't have to be enough? What if we could make this permanent?" Danny's eyes went wide. "You mean you'd want to adopt me for real?" "I mean, I'd want you to come live here with me, help me run this ranch, and be my son in every way that matters." Cole's voice was steady and sure. "If that's something you'd want?" Danny stared at him, then burst into tears. Not sad tears, but tears of pure joy and relief. "Yes," he whispered. "Yes, more than anything in the world." Cole came around the table and pulled the boy into his arms, holding him tight, while Danny cried against his shoulder. "Then that's what we'll do, son. We'll figure out the legal stuff, but from this moment on, you're home. You belong here with me." "Really?" Danny asked, pulling back to look at Cole's face. "You really want me?" "Danny," Cole said, voice thick with emotion, "I think I've been waiting my whole life for someone just like you. You're not just wanted here, you're needed." As they held each other in the warm kitchen light, Cole realized that sometimes the best things in life came in unexpected packages. He'd thought he was doing a lonely boy a favor by giving him one day of belonging. Instead, Danny had given him something far more precious, a reason to look forward to tomorrow and all the tomorrows that would follow. Building a family 6 months later, Cole stood on his front porch watching Danny work with Cisco in the main corral. The legal process had been complex: social workers, court hearings, endless paperwork. Danny's Aunt Linda had been surprisingly cooperative, admitting she'd never wanted the responsibility and was relieved to see Danny go to someone who genuinely wanted him. The boy who had once slept on a couch and felt like a burden was now thriving. Danny had grown 3 inches and put on weight, his thin frame filling out with muscle from ranch work and regular meals. More importantly, the careful wariness in his bright blue eyes was gone, replaced by confident happiness of a child who knew he was loved. "Dad, watch this," Danny called out, using the name that still made Cole's heart swell. Danny was training Cisco to respond to subtle rein pressure, requiring patience and deep understanding of horse psychology. Cole watched with pride as his son guided the horse through precise movements with barely visible cues. "Looking good, son," Cole called back. "Remember to keep your shoulders square." Danny adjusted his posture and continued the exercise. In the 6 months since that first Father's Day, the boy had thrown himself into learning ranch life with dedication of someone who had found his true calling. Cole made his way to the corral, leaning against the fence. "How's he feeling today?" "Real good," Danny replied, bringing Cisco to a smooth stop. "I think he's starting to trust me more. Yesterday he was fighting the bit, but today he's responding to just leg pressure." Cole nodded approvingly. "Trust takes time to build, but once you have it, it's worth everything." Danny dismounted and began unsaddling Cisco. "Speaking of trust, I got a letter from my teacher today. She wants to recommend me for some kind of academic program for kids interested in agriculture." Cole raised his eyebrows. "That sounds like an opportunity worth exploring." "It's through the state university. They work with high school students who want to study farming and ranching. I could take college-level courses and maybe get a scholarship." Danny's voice carried excitement and uncertainty, but it would mean spending some weekends in town for classes. "And you're worried about leaving the ranch?" Danny nodded. What if something happens while I'm gone? What if you need help? Cole smiled at his son's sense of responsibility. In 6 months, Danny had become not just his child, but his true partner in running the ranch. "Danny, let me tell you something important," Cole said, opening the corral gate. "When I was your age, I thought the measure of a man was how hard he could work with his hands, and that's important. But I've learned something. The measure of a man isn't just how hard he works, it's how smart he works. Education doesn't make you less of a rancher. It makes you a better one." Danny considered this as they walked. "You really think I should apply?" "I think you should grab every opportunity. This ranch will always be here, and it will always be yours someday if you want it. But having more knowledge, more options, that's never a bad thing." They spent the afternoon repairing storm-damaged fence. As they worked, Cole marveled at how naturally they functioned as a team. Danny anticipated what tools Cole needed, spotted problems before Cole pointed them out. "You know," Cole said as they loaded tools into the truck, "I've been thinking about expanding the operation." Danny looked up with interest. "What kind of expansion?" "We've got that 40-acre pasture on the east side we're not using for much. I was thinking about horse breeding, nothing ambitious at first, just see if we can build up a reputation for quality cutting horses." Danny's eyes lit up. "Really? You mean breeding and training horses specifically for ranch work?" "Exactly. It would be a lot of work, and it would take years to build reputation. But I figure with your natural ability with horses and my experience with business, we might make something of it." Danny was quiet, thinking hard. "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Shoot. Are you doing this because you want to, or because you think it's something I'd be interested in?" The question showed maturity that impressed Cole. "Both, honestly. I've been thinking about diversifying for a while, but having you here, seeing how good you are with horses, it's made me realize this could be something special for us to build together." Danny smiled. "What if we combined it with the education thing? I could learn about genetics and business management through the university program, then apply what I learn here." Cole grinned, feeling pride in his son's quick thinking. "Now you're talking like a true rancher, always looking for ways to make every piece work together." As they drove back, Cole reflected on how much his life had changed since Danny climbed onto Buttercup's saddle. The loneliness that had been his constant companion was completely gone, replaced by purpose and belonging he'd never experienced. The house that had once felt too quiet now buzzed with activity. Danny had transformed the spare room into a combination bedroom and study area, with books about animal husbandry stacked alongside school textbooks. That evening, as they sat down to dinner Danny had prepared almost entirely himself, Cole raised his water glass. "To new opportunities and old foundations," he said. Danny raised his glass, grinning, "and to the best dad a boy could ask for, even if I did have to ask him myself." Cole laughed, remembering that first conversation. "You know, I've been thinking about that day. When you asked me to adopt you for just one day. What about it? I think maybe you knew, even then, that one day wasn't going to be enough. I think maybe you were hoping I'd figure out that I needed you just as much as you needed me." Danny's expression grew thoughtful. "Maybe I was. I just knew that when I saw you in town, you looked like someone carrying something heavy. And I thought maybe if we carried it together, it wouldn't be so hard." Cole felt his throat tighten with emotion. "You were right, son. You were absolutely right." As they cleaned up together, Cole found himself looking forward to their evening routine. Danny would work on homework, while Cole reviewed ranch accounts. They'd often discuss both academics and ranch business, with Danny's questions leading to insights Cole might not have reached alone. Later, they'd sit on the front porch watching stars come out, talking about everything while the sounds of the ranch settling down provided peaceful soundtrack. These were the moments Cole treasured most. "Dad," Danny said as they headed toward their bedrooms, "I want you to know something." "What's that, son?" "That day when I asked you to adopt me, it wasn't just about wanting to know what it felt like to have a father. I also wanted to know what it felt like to be needed by someone, to matter to someone, and you've given me that every single day since." Cole pulled his son into a hug. Danny, you matter to me more than anything in this world. This ranch, this life, it all means more because you're part of it. I love you, Dad. I love you too, son. More than you'll ever know. As Cole settled into bed that night, he thought about the empty saddle that had ridden beside him for so many years. Now that saddle was filled, not just with Danny's presence, but with hope for the future, with plans and dreams and the kind of deep connection that made every day worth living. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and opportunities. But tonight, Cole Harrison was exactly where he belonged, home with his son, on the ranch they were building together one day at a time. The boy who had asked to be adopted for just one day had become the answer to prayers Cole hadn't even known he was praying. And in return, Cole had given Danny something equally precious, a place to belong, a future to build, and the unshakable knowledge that he was loved, valued, and home. Thank you for following Danny and Cole's heartwarming journey. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up and tell us in the comments which city you're watching from. Subscribe for more inspiring stories that celebrate the power of love, family, and second chances. Remember that sometimes the most important question you can ask is simply, can I belong here? Because the answer might just change everything.